Hello, my name is Heather McCarthy. I'm Director of Marketing, and I'm joined by Richie Allen, our Vice President of Viticulture and Winemaking today. We are here to talk about our reserve Cabernet Sauvignons, our Atlas Peak, our Stice Lane, and our Le Mer de Chez. So, Richie, what makes these wines reserve quality?
At Rombauer, anything that is reserve quality, they're exceptional sites. So they represent the individual selection of the best vineyard sites that we have throughout the Napa Valley for Cabernet. And then on top of that, they get the winemaking added to it. So these wines are entirely barrel fermented. So what that means is we take one of these small French oak barrels, we pop the head off it, we put 400 pounds of fruit in, put the head back on. Instead of pumping a tank over to extract color and tannin, we roll the barrel. And that gets us the color and tannin. It's very, very labor intensive. It means we have several hundred small ferments happening at once, but it gives us a richer, denser palate with a seamless integration of fruit and oak.
All right, well, I'm really excited to taste. We're going to start at the top, literally, with our Atlas Peak, which sits at 1,600 feet in elevation, I understand.
1,650, yep.
Talk to me about the vineyards. What makes this location unique?
Yep, so it's on the east side of the Napa Valley, up on the top of the Atlas Peak Plateau. Up there, the soils, you have decayed, compressed volcanic ash. So this soil is very, very arid, has a very low water holding capacity. And the aspect, because of this southwest facing aspect, you get a lot of sun, and it results in a vineyard that has vines that really, really struggle and produce a crop of very, very small, very concentrated berries. Some of the highest color, smallest berries that we see in all of our Cabernet sites. You can stand up at the top of the vineyard and look down across all of Atlas Peak down into the Napa Valley. And it's just one of those special places, and those unique spots in the world that produces incredibly high quality wine. Like all of our Cabernets, it's 100% hand-picked. It's all precision farm, so we're picking this vineyard by NDVI. So we can see differences in canopy density, and that dictates how the grapes ripen. We can segregate that out and pick that separately. And when it comes to the winery, that hand-picked fruit is destemmed in our berry separators. It's optically sorted, so we photograph every berry. We reject the berries that aren't perfectly colored and round, and any material is not a perfect berry. And then from there it goes to barrel.
Wow.
So we put 400 pounds, 380 to 400, depending on how ripe it is in a barrel. And then it goes into one of our barrel rooms and we roll away for fermentation.
How long is fermentation?
So for Atlas Peak, because of the sheer concentration of color and tannin in the skins, it'll spend anywhere from 10 to 20 days on skins in the barrel before we pop the head off, drain it, and press it. Depending on the concentration of the year, because it has so much tannin, sometimes that can be shorter, sometimes it can be longer. But as generally of all the Cabernets we make, it has the shortest time on skins because it has this intense tannin structure. And we don't want to over-extract.
Yep. Okay, I think it's time to taste. So we've been talking a lot about how the vineyard, translates into the winemaking process. Let's talk about how it translates into the glass and what we are tasting.
Yeah, so because we have those very small berries and at that altitude that we get, and it does get quite warm up on Atlas Peak, you tend to get a wine that has a lot of density of flavor and a lot of tannin. It's one of the biggest Cabernets that we make.
Yeah, you can feel it on the mouth.
You can feel it has a lot of weight and depth. But when you smell it, Atlas Peak has this incredible red fruit character to it, sometimes a little bit of a cherry character. That's paired with this terroir character or natural site character of the wine. There's like this Christmas spice, which is very, very distinct. And then behind that, you have a little bit of barrel complexity. So we generally use toastier barrels on this, so they're low in tannin. We don't want to overpower the wine.
Right.
We want to frame it out with that strong fruit component with a nice, strong, subtle oak.
Yeah. Talk to me about ageability on this wine too, because it to me comes off like I could lay it down for a decade
it's definitely built
plus.
to last. Yeah, so it's got the right structure in terms of acid, alcohol, and tannin to age a long time. I had a 2014 about a week or two ago, which was amazing. It definitely is built to last and will age anywhere from 5 to 20 years easily.
Beautiful. Okay, now we're moving down to the valley floor. We have a set of fresh glasses. This is often described as your quintessential opulent Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. Talk to us about this wine and kind of the differences between Stice and Atlas.
So this is the Stice Lane. It is on the valley floor, as you said. It's actually on the south side of St. Helena. And this is just north of St. Helena is where the Napa Valley narrows to its narrowest point at Lodi Lane. What happens with that narrowing of the valley is warm air pools around St. Helena, and that south side of St. Helena actually has the highest heat summation in the entire Napa Valley. So it's a very unique site. It's close to Napa Valley River. It's on an old gravelly riverbed. The soil type is Pleasanton, and it has 2 sand streaks that run through the vineyard. And because of that spot there on the south side of St. Helena and the warmth, it makes very classically structured cassis and blackcurrant flavoured Napa Valley Cabernet. I always say Sticeland, this Pleasanton loam, holds more soil moisture, and so we typically don't have to irrigate this vineyard. It's effectively dry farmed. It got 1 shot of irrigation last year for the first time in as long as I can remember. And because of that, we have very, very deep roots that go down a long way, and the vineyard is very resistant to fluctuations in heat and temperature. So it just carries on ripening the way you want it to, and you really don't have to worry too much about how hot it's getting and whether you need to supplement the vineyard with water.
Time to taste?
Yep, time to taste.
Right.
So, like the Atlas Peak, it's all hand-picked. It goes through optical sorter and it's barrel fermented. But the main thing you'll notice, where you have this red fruit flavor, cherry and Christmas spice in the Atlas. In this wine, you're going to have more blackcurrant and cassis. And because of that barrel fermentation, it's a different selection of barrels that are slightly higher in vanilla. It's very hard to tell what's blackcurrant and what's vanilla. It all blends seamlessly on the palate.
It's fascinating tasting this wine too, to go from mountaintop of Atlas Peak with those really big tannin structure to this valley floor that is just this beautiful, smooth, lush on the palate. Just
it has a softness to it.
Yes.
Exactly, but it still has tannin structure. So I was just recently, I opened the bottle of 2004 when I was home in Australia with my family, and it was drinking magically. It is such an ageable wine. It's incredibly moderate in its alcohol, has beautiful acid balance, lovely soft tannin structure. It's just the most classic of all the Cabernets that we make.
Absolutely. Okay, well, last but certainly not least, we are talking about our Le Mer de Chez, or as we lovingly refer to it as, the best of the cellar. What makes this wine different from the other 2 that we've tasted?
But what makes this wine special is this is the absolute pinnacle of winemaking here at Rombauer. So this is our flagship product. It has, well, it can come from anywhere in the Napa Valley. It's Cabernet based, often has a little bit of Petit Verdot in it. Sometimes it'll have one of the best barrels or 2 out of Stice, sometimes one of the best barrels or 2 out of Atlas Peak. It could also come from some of the Oakville vineyards we work with, or some vineyards on the south side of Calistoga. But what we're looking for is wines, or barrels, individual barrels I should say, that have perfect balance by themselves. If they are perfect by themselves and do not require any other blending, they end up in this wine. So it can be anywhere from 5 barrels to 10 barrels to 15 barrels in any given vintage. But yeah, it's just the winemaking team showing off their skills.
Yeah. And this wine we've been making for quite a while. It was Kerner Rombauer's favorite, and long ago, I believe the story is that he was sitting tasting with Bob Levy, our first winemaker, and he pulled out the dictionary to look at the translation for the best of the cellar, which was Le Mer de Chez, the name of the wine.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a magical wine. It has perfect balance, so lots of cassis, lots of blackcurrant, perfectly seamlessly integrated oak. It's soft yet rich on the palate. It's just one of those wines, when you taste it, whether you're having it in a blind lineup or with food, everyone who tries it goes, wow, there's something special about that.
Beautiful wine.
Yeah, I mean, if you smell it, that intense cassis, like where these wines, I mean, they're not lightweights by any stretch of the imagination. They're very powerful, fruit-driven, classically structured, modern Napa Valley Cabernet, but this just takes it up another notch.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's just, I love this wine.
We hope you've enjoyed learning about these extraordinary wines. We know you'll enjoy them when you have a chance to taste them. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.